Next code letter B. Next code letter B on the screen. The development beneficiaries and marginalized. The development beneficiaries and marginalized people.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic that I've been given for today is development, beneficiaries and marginalized. I'm going to start off with the hadith of Ali radiallahu anhu. He said, if you were to be standing at one spot and if you were to look at your east and your west, and if you were to be traveling a path, for example, if you were to be traveling a path to the west, it's an example, okay? It's like you're traveling to the deen. And if you're going to be traveling to the east, then it's like you're traveling to this world. Now, if you were to add knowledge to it, that is traveling to a path where there is knowledge of deen, and when you're traveling to a path where there is knowledge of dunya, it's two different paths. So the farther you get away from deen, the closer you get for dunya. And the farther you get from dunya, the closer you get to deen in terms of knowledge. The reason why I said that is because in later on we'll discuss probably some of the developments that the world has seen today, and A and B would be in terms of what is the contribution that Islam has made in terms of some of the inventions that were done. And C, what I'll talk about is probably some of the values that we can uphold so that we get the deen as well as dunya together. Okay, in terms of some of the inventions, most of us know, I mean, one of them is Thomas Alva Edison. You talk about anything, you talk about Wright brothers, you talk about light, you talk about aviation, or you talk about the sound technology, or you talk about in terms of medicines. If you were to see, like, most of these inventions are mostly associated with all due respect to the Jews and Christians, but most of the inventions are always associated with either the Jews or Christians. You talk about anything, I mean, that's the world that is there today. On the other hand, we all need to know that, okay, on the other hand, we all need to know that there was large amount of contribution from the Islamic scientists or the Islamic inventors as well. Since we don't have too much time, I will just throw maybe a couple of examples and we'll move on to the next one. One of them is in terms of coffee. We associate in terms of production of coffee to Sri Lanka or maybe to other countries. But if you know, like, where, and of course, in terms of, if you take a larger picture, since they're short of time, if you know about Starbucks, if you know about Coffee Day, if you know about coffee and the different coffee shops that are there. Now, the truth of coffee is that it was invented in Yemen, okay? And the reason why it was invented is because there were Sufi saints who used to be engrossed in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they didn't want to sleep in the night. So they thought, what's something that probably that we can do in terms of we can stay awake at night and we can actually do a lot of worship. And one of the saints, I'm sorry I forgot his name, he saw a dream, and in his dream there was this entire mechanism of how coffee seeds can be planted, how coffee can be plucked, and how coffee can be actually produced in terms of keeping you awake at night. And then about these small coffee shops. You know, the coffee shops was invented in such a way that people used to sit together and people used to come and drink coffee together in a small place. Now look at who's taken these inventions, who's taken it forward in this world, and who's actually implemented the great teachings that our Islamic scholars have given. If you ask me who's it, it is Starbucks. Starbucks is a name which has got more than maybe a presence in 1,000 cities in the world. So, and who does it belong to? Again, I do completely respect them. It belongs to Jews. Yeah? And in terms of GE as a company or IBM as a company. IBM was, if you go back to IBM's history was that it was an invention of Thomas Alva Edison. And then later on there was a company called CBR, and then it was formed together to be IBM, what is there today. Okay, since we are running short of time, like one thing that I really wanted to touch upon was in terms of our contribution to the world today. Our contribution to the Islam society today, maybe in Kerala and in all parts of India. If you look at India in terms of uneducation, yes, there will be if you look at community-wise, probably Islam is a religion wherein in terms of education, lack of education, where we rank high. And in certain states of India, there are again, wherein in terms of Islamic worship is concerned, it is again ranked less. Okay, now what I want to say is that, yes, do we have to only follow the hadith of Ali radiallahu anhu? Yes, we need to follow that, but we also need to attain some bit of dunya, because even in all the small jobs that you do, if you were to make a true intention that something that I'm doing is for the sake of this world and the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will definitely be benefited. And inshallah, we're running short of time, we will talk about it later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
General Vibhagathinte